a replica set, just to get a sense of how the MongoDB replication mechanism works. So I'm just going to use this command to connect to our 3-node replica set called M103 example. And to figure out which node in this set is currently the primary, I'm going to run this command rs.isMaster. And this output actually gives us a lot of information. It gives us the current primary, which is the node running on port 27011, and it also gives us the node that we're currently connected to, me. In this case, it's the same as the primary because we're connected to the replica set through the shell. It also gives us the other nodes in this replica set. So I'm just going to create a new database here called newdb and insert a new document into a new collection called new collection in newdb. And I'm just going to connect to a secondary to make sure they receive the write as well. We can scroll up to the rs.isMaster output to figure out which of these nodes is a secondary. And we know that this is the primary, so we just have to connect to one of these two nodes. So this is the command we're going to use to connect directly to a secondary node in our replica set. Notice that we've changed the node port that we've selected in our hostname, and we also haven't specified the name of the replica set, because if we were to specify the name of the replica set, the shell would automatically direct us to the primary, and in this case we actually want to connect directly to a secondary. And as we can see, the shell prompt has changed to reflect that we're now connected to a secondary node. So we can just start running shell commands on the secondary node, right? No, actually we can't. When we're connected to a secondary node, we can only run read commands after telling MongoDB that we're sure that's what we want to do. This is because MongoDB errs on the side of consistency. Given that we want to make sure you always have a consistent view of your data, you need to explicitly say otherwise if you want to read from the secondaries. So this is the command we're going to run in order to enable read operations on the secondary node. And now, our showdb's command should actually work. And it does. And we can see that the write command was replicated to the secondary node. So here I've tried to insert a document into a secondary node, and as expected, we can only enable reads on this secondary. We'll never be able to write to a secondary node. The purpose of this is to enforce strong consistency on our cluster. And the Mongo shell lets us know that we can't write to the secondary. So far, we've covered how reads and writes work in a replica set when it's healthy. In the interest of learning how replica sets handle crisis, we're going to break a few things. First, we're going to shut this node off. Now, when we connect back to the replica set, we run rs.status, we can see that the node we shut down is no longer reachable from the primary. Now, I'm just going to shut down this other node here. So now that we've shut off 2 of the nodes in our replica set, there's only 1 left, and 1 out of 3 does not form a majority. So we actually won't be able to connect to the primary because the current primary, which was running on this node, has stepped down to become a secondary. So here I haven't specified the name of the replica set because I want to connect directly to this node. And as we can see, that node has stepped down to be a secondary. We can verify that by running rs.isMaster. So as we can see, we're still connected to the same node as before, but that node is now a secondary node. Even though the primary node never went down, we lost the last secondary that gave us a majority. If the replica set can no longer reach a majority of the nodes, all the remaining nodes in the set become secondaries. And because they're secondaries, we can't write anything to the replica set because there is no primary. This is just another fail-safe mechanism used by the MongoDB replica set to ensure data consistency. So just to recap, in this lesson dedicated to a secondary, how reading from secondary nodes works, and how writing to a replica set when a majority isn't available, which is to say, we can't.